Okay, just for the sake of documenting some of the things I'm doing here before I actually give you guys some sound samples, um, we're going to, for starters, we are going to go ahead and pull a couple of tubes here. I've got one made in China tube here and one of my old groove tubes that belongs in the Carvin X100B, the other Carvin that you guys saw on this channel, not my other X100B. I've got two of them. So anyway, I just wanted to, I got all brand new JJs when I built this amp, so I'm just gonna run with that because otherwise it'll screw with my head. I'll be like, oh, the groove tube sounded better. You know what I mean? Little things that kind of screw with your head. So just a few things I want to do before I give you guys promised sound samples. What's in here? This has got to be a groove tube, and if it is, there's two of them, and both of them. Oh, that's a JJ there. Oh, wait a minute, where did that come from? Oh, okay, because this is a groove tube here. No, that's a Ruby tube there. I was fiddling around with tubes when I first kicked it on, and I didn't have any signal passing, and I was just checking to see if it was a tube. I don't have a tester, so I just throw a tube in and out here. So anyway, a couple of these need to go back. One of them, there's two of them I believe, needs to go back with the Carvin, and we'll get to that later. Because right now, all I really want to do is get this thing cleaned up. I want to vacuum it because I want to make sure there's no little tiny pieces of this and that anywhere. So I'm actually going to pause you guys so you don't have to listen to the vacuum cleaner screaming. So the other thing I'm going to do, and I'll probably pause you guys again, is I need to flip over these standoffs for the board. The nut is supposed to go on the outside, and I like the idea of that because what happens is instead of having a nut on the board, you'll have just a screw, and I'll show you that in a minute. Versus, I'll show you first where we're at here. You see that? See where the standoffs are at, right here and here. Whoops, where we got? Right there, where my finger's at. See how the standoff is? So there's a nut that goes on there. So I'm going to show you the way it's going to be instead of having a nut on there. Just kind of take you guys off pause here for a second so the camera doesn't go into sleep mode. So that is what I'm achieving right there. Instead of having a bolt sticking up, a nut and a sticking up there, now you just have a nice flat screw. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. So yeah, I'm still basically just tying up loose ends here. We'll put these caps on the preamp tubes, and we got the board secured, and then I basically just I've got an air compressor down here, and I basically just kind of blew it out lightly with some compressed air, and also vacuumed to make sure there's no little pieces in here anywhere that might get us in trouble. So at this point, we are ready to bias it for real. So let me get to that. Well, I guess don't forget the knobs, right? Very nice Marshall style knobs. Very nice brass, heavy little knob. But I gotta get it's got like a Allen head set screw. So I gotta go grab an Allen wrench set. Okay, we've got our knobs on. And as you know, this one goes to 11. Look at that, all the way across. 11, 11, 11, 11. Well, it's one louder, isn't it? Okay, so this is the first time this amplifier is going to see voltage right from the wall and not through Variac or anything like that. So I want to set the bias based on that and not based on going through a variac and a current limiter. Although I'd set the bias once, but it was still going through a variac. Just want to be sure. So I'm going to crank this up in a minute. And so at the wall voltage, we've got about 122 volts. When I had it on the variac, I had about 119, 120 volts. So we're going to go ahead and kick it out of standby. Got us a nice speaker cabinet hooked up for a load, although I could use my little load box I made here. This thing really worked out great. Brad the guitarist taught me how to make that, and that thing really comes in handy. But anyway, as I have a cabinet already here, might as well go ahead and use it. So I'm just going to check. I want to see what we have. We've got about 474 volts at the plate. 473, 474, some DC voltage at the plate of the EL34. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and check the bias on each EL34 and adjust it accordingly. So we've got 35 milliamps there. So let's see. What did I say? 474 wall voltage. 474. Point 35. 16.59. That's not bad. We're looking for about 17 watts, right? So 35 milliamp, 36 milliamps there. So this is why I want to let it sit and run a while, just to see. We got 35 milliamps on that tube. We've got 38 milliamps on this tube. 38 on this tube. 46 on this tube. So we're looking for about 17 watts on each one. So let's see what did that one come out to? What is it? 46, 44. And then what are we looking at? The plate over here. Dun, 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 dun. 477. So 477 times 0.045 equals. So yeah, that's a little hot there, a little high. I got about 21 watts. That would be great for like a 6L6. But let's just see here. What did I say again on the voltage? Let me check that plate voltage again. 474. So let's see, 474 times 0.038 equals 18. So really 37, probably somewhere around 37 milliamps. 474 times 0.037, 38, something like that. Yeah, 37 milliamps, 38. You know, that would be a good bias for this. I'm showing 44 milliamps on this tube, so we're gonna dial that down a bit. Oh, that's hot. Hot tube. Scared me. That's more than anything. More than the heat from it, it actually scared me. So Soriatone, in their little booklet, when it comes to biasing, they that's what they kind of say is like 37 milliamps. You can go very slow on these potentiometers. We got 36 milliamps there. 38. Somewhere between 36 and 38. So they recommend about 37 milliamps in a general, in general. Now that of course is going to vary based on what the plate voltage is. So it's really better to check the plate voltage and go by that, and then do your math on that. That way you can get a correct bias. So right now I'm just going to let this thing kind of sit here and idle for a while, and then I'm just going to recheck the bias, and once it's set, and then we're going to plug in and hear some tones.